Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Bakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to the hopeful elect. This is your brother Dawadah from the Men of Valor campaign in Greenville, South Carolina, coming back with another video in sincerity and in truth and Lord willing to be edifying. And I have this article right here from the Times of India. All right, there are other articles on this. I found this one. It was the most recent breaking this news. Let's get right into it. China beats Elon Musk. And as you see it right there. Jesus level technology. Now, why would they be referring to the Bible? All right, keep that in mind. It says Jesus level technology to launch world's first commercial brain C-hip. China has moved ahead of Elon Musk's Jesus level technology, Neuralink, in the race to commercialize brain-computer interface technology, approving what is being described as the world's first commercially available brain C-hip after successful clinical trials. And the reason you hear me saying C-hip and not just saying it out is because the fact that we're bringing this out in the light that we bring it out in, as far as exposing it as being the MOTB, all right, the fact that we have to shorthand these things proves that it is exactly what it is, okay? You can spell CHIP, MOTB, mark of the beast, okay? This is that technology. It's here. This isn't a speculation. We already knew about Neuralink with Elon Musk, but now you have China, like Trump say, China, who has been racing toward this. Why? Because the Lord is putting a spirit on these nations to race toward this. And America isn't going to let China one up them. Not in this AI fifth industrial revolution. So this is how we know prophecy is being fulfilled. This is exactly how we know that this is the end. This has to be made mandatory throughout the whole world. And China is doing their part on their side of the world. And America, in its competitive nature, and the fact that it doesn't want to be number two, is going to race toward adopting this technology too. So just because you're seeing that China has beat America out for this, don't think that this isn't around the corner. This is close. All right. It says approving what is being described as the world's first commercially available brain C-hip after successful clinical trials. The coin-sized implant called Neo has become the first surgically implanted brain-computer interface, or BCI, device to clear clinical testing for commercial use, according to the New York Times report. So we got Babylon, co-signing this, with the news articles. Developed by researchers at Beijing, I'm not even sure how to say that, Tsinghua University and Shanghai-based neurological, if I'm saying that right, neurological technology, the device is expected to enter mass production for China's state-run healthcare system. So they're getting ready to mass produce this shit. And if they're doing it there, they're going to do it here. The first version of Neo is aimed at helping patients with spinal cord injuries and paralysis regain control over parts of their nervous system. These are those left-handed miracles. That's why it's being mentioned as Jesus level technology. But on the left-hand side, if you go into the Bible, which even people the Chinese aren't fucking Christians. They're not Christians. They don't believe in Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah. They don't even believe in the white meat version. All right. But why they mention Jesus level technology? Why? Because Yahweh Shah, when he was on the earth, he did miracles that cannot be contained within this book. That is the Bible. All right. He is the physical embodiment of the word of the Lord. And he was able to do miracles. He was able to make lame men walk. He was able to heal the sick. The blind could see. The deaf can hear. He was able to feed a multitude of with very little, and was able to multiply it. Now these are, the Lord said, the works that I do, you shall do greater, because I go unto my Father. But you're also seeing that the left-hand side are going to try to come through with these left-handed miracles as well. It says, but researchers, technology companies, and investors see brain-computer interface as the beginning of a much larger shift in how humans interact with machines, right? This is a part of that. They're going to be merging man with machine. This is that hour of temptation. This isn't something that we're going to have to wait another 20 years to face. This is something that we're about to face very, very soon. And the Lord is speeding up the days for the elect's sake. The development comes as Musk's Neuralink continues human trials in the United States, but is yet to receive broad regulatory approval for commercial use. Here we are, the Jesus level technology. Brain-computer interfaces allow signals generated by the brain to be converted into digital commands that can control computers, devices, or prosthetics. Musk has reportedly promoted the technology's potential to transform lives. They've shown them playing Call of Duty and shit. It says, speaking via video link at an event in Israel this week. See? Them tiny tops. Musk argued that his company, Neuralink, does not receive enough recognition for its achievements. Restoring control. And they allowed this guy to be a trillionaire on paper, because he's going to be such a pivotal part of pushing this NWO and his brain C-HIP, his BCI, brain computer interface, for China's competitor, which is America. All right, so you got China doing it on their end, but you have the Americans and the West doing it on their end as well. And with that covers the entirety of the globe. It says restoring control of people who are tetraplegics and restoring sight, I think, are pretty big deals, Musk said. They're sort of what I might call Jesus-level technologies, he added. Neuralink has said its implants could eventually allow users to type, move a computer cursor, and operate devices using only their thoughts. Supporters of the technology envision an even more ambitious feature where people could communicate digitally through thoughts or interact with machines without physical input. And if you watch that show, Black Mirror, they showed a lot of that. They showed it to where the technology had already been placed, in your head, and you could have control social media through your eyes. They didn't need the phone anymore. All right, somebody was calling them, and you could see it would show the POV of the person's eyesight, and you'll see waking life, but then you'll see notification coming in, your friend calling you, or you just got a message, all right, or you could check social media, and they're starting to introduce that through way of those Apple Vision, I can't remember what they're called, augmented reality. So it's merging the physical reality with a virtual one, with this whole social media thing. So if you watch that show Black Mirror, that shows that, hey, they're going to put people on a social credit system. All right, this is where it's all tying. This is why Meta is so big. This is why X is as big as it is. This is why YouTube will be intertwined with all of this. All right, your internet age was all gearing up for this groundbreaking technology to be moved from your phone devices into your head. Okay? And of course, you still have the NFC, near field communication, and RFID, radio frequency identification, C-hips that will be placed under the skin on your left or right hand. All of that is the MOTB, whether it's in your hand or whether it's the brain C-hips. Either way, they're pushing for this technology. But the brain ones are going to be what they really want. They want to be in your fucking mind. They want to know your thoughts. You got movies like Upgraded. All right, and again, the elders and apostles of GMS, and the men on down, the men that teach the likewise doctrine in sincerity and in truth, are the only ones that are blowing the sounding the alarm on this impending danger. Why? Because it's important. This is literally tying to the hour of temptation. And the Lord said that he made us watchmen upon the house of Israel. So if we know about this and we're not giving the warning, their blood is going to be on our head. All right, but the brothers have been fervently sounding the alarm on this being the MOTB, even though these other camps, all right, say that the MOTB is whatever it wants to be. All right, but the proof is in the pudding, as they say. We're seeing China as well as Neuralink push toward this brain-computer interface. How China's NEO or NEO differs from Neuralink. One reason analysts believe China has moved ahead more quickly is the design of the NEO implant. Unlike Neuralink's N1 device, which requires electrodes to penetrate the brain's cerebral cortex, NEO, or NEO, I'm going to just say NEO. NEO is designed to sit between the skull and the brain. Man, yeah, this is some shit right here. 8 sensors are placed against the dura mater, the brain's protective outer membrane, reducing the invasiveness of the procedure. The implant captures brain signals and sends them to nearby computers where they are transplanted into digital commands. According to reports, 36 patients have already tested the device with positive results. Researchers believe the less invasive approach may help reduce some of the medical risks traditionally associated with brain implants, the Post reported. So they found a way to make it a little more efficient than Neuralink, which it sounds like they attach that shit to your brain. This one, it sits in between your brain and the skull, which is still like they're still going in your fucking head, man. But let's keep on reading. It says experts say brain-computer interfaces could improve the lives of millions of people suffering from neurological disorders, particularly those affecting movement and speech. Potential applications extend beyond paralysis and spinal injuries to conditions such as Parkinson's disease, epilepsy, stroke, and depression. Now think about it. Think about this from a spiritual perspective for a second. The Lord said, I kill, I make alive, I wound and I heal. So anybody that is dealing with any type of ailment, any type of loss of function of a sense, whether it's your sight, whether it's your hearing, whether you can't walk, that is judgment from Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. All right, the Lord did this. So what Esau is trying to do and Moab is trying to do is trying to offset the judgment that the Lord has set forth. Okay, so somebody that got into a mean ass car accident and they lost all their function of their limbs, that was judgment from the Lord. But what they're trying to say is we can reverse that. This is them trying to play like the Most High. This is the heathen imagining a vain thing. This is why they believe that they'll continue to rule. But the Lord is using them for his purpose, man. Because once that MOTB is made mandatory throughout the world and you can't function without it in regular society, just how you can't really function in society now without a social security card, without at least two forms of identification. It's hard for you to get a job. It's hard for you to, to rent anything, to have a place to live. So once they switch that shit fully to digital and you're required to have that MOTB, whether in your hand or in your head, then you're going to be, if you don't have it, you're going to be cut out of society. This is how close we really are to it, man. Because they're saying China's NEO brain C-hip is further along than Neuralink, which is going to put the pressure on Neuralink to continue to speed this up. It says, however, the technology has also raised concerns about privacy, security, and safety, of course. Griffith University cybersecurity expert Dr. David Tuffley said the devices offer enormous potential, but also create new risks. Brain implants may sound dystopian, but they are a promising part of neuroscience research, he said. At the same time, he warned that the device could theoretically allow hackers to access sensitive neural data, such as a patient's thoughts and memories. And if they can do it, they're going to do it. If there's a will, there's a way. says hacking also may also enable them to impair a patient's cognitive functions, such as the ability to concentrate or even manipulate motor signals to affect how well they move, he said. So they're going to be able to control your fucking movement, man. Okay? The Lord can control our movement. The Lord, we are not, we don't have free will, contrary to popular belief. Okay? Our thoughts and our actions are already predetermined by the Lord. Esau is trying to be like the Most High. It says that's a scary prospect, especially if these devices become more common, he added. Despite rapid progress, researchers also caution that the brain implants still face significant biological hurdles. Neuralink's M1 implant is currently being tested in 9 patients. One patient, Aubrey Cruz, recently described the impact the technology has already had on her life. I tried writing my name for the first time in 20 years. I'm working on it, she wrote on X. It's humbling to know my journey is helping Neuralink refine this technology, which could one day let millions control devices with their minds, she added. So, that's just a little bit on that. All right, so this is the Jesus level technology that they're talking about, left-handed miracles. And the scriptures plainly forewarn against that. This is Revelation chapter 13. We're going to get right into it. We'll start at verse 11. It says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And that's speaking about the current revised Roman Empire system of a 2-party system, one that favors the rich and one that favors the poor, but all favor the system itself. The plebeians and the patricians are now the Democrats and the Republicans, and they all serve the elite at this point. They spake as a dragon, draconian measures, draconian laws, unrighteous decrees, because they're going to make this mandatory. Verse 12, and he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. All right, the Roman Empire, the first leg of the Roman Empire, fell out of power for 1,000 years, and then it was revived. And now we're in the second leg of the Roman Empire. All right, that beast system, which is NATO and the EU. All right, Trump is over there with some of his NATO and EU allies for this G7 summit, right? So we see that America sits at the helm of it. It's not just America, it's the entire beast system that are ruled by the Edomite nations that are in power now. Verse 13, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And he was able to do that. He was able to split the atom. He dropped bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. All right, he killed hundreds of thousands of people. And he made the earth tremble. He made the earth fear him for a time. All right, but now they don't fear him as much because other nations have the ability to split the atom as well. Not only do we have atomic bombs, we have thermonuclear missiles now. You have hydrogen bombs now, H bombs. Verse 14, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles. See, he deceived them. Look what we can do. And really, the Lord gave you the means to bring about this technology. The Lord said he created the smith that bloweth the coals. He created the waster to destroy. He brings forth a weapon for his indignation, his righteous anger. Not man. The Lord does that. See, these nations they try to give themselves too much credit to themselves or their gods. They're false gods. Verse 14 again, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast. And that's the system that's being created now. All right, that image, which had the wound by a sword and did live. Okay, it got knocked out of power for a bit, but now it's back. The Roman Empire is back. All right, we are actually living within the image of that beast. Okay, we participate within its society. And now the society is about to transform from how it is now to now a fully totalitarian system under a social credit score, under buying and selling with these BCIs and with these RFID and NFC technology. All right. And this is what's going to give them total control of your body, of your mind. See? And the conflict of interest is that we're Israelites. We're sons of the power. All right. We are not to consent to this under any circumstance. Verse 15 again, he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And they're going to have laws set in place, comply or die, in so few words. Verse 16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And again, that mark is charagma. Okay? And the root word being charax. That is dealing with the physical implementation of a device, something going under the skin. Okay? Like driving a stake into you. And with the brain, they make an incision in your fucking head, in your skull, and they place it between your skull and your brain. So those that don't comply, you die. And that's where our faith and trust in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua is going to come in. Okay? Because the elect aren't going to receive that MOTB. Because there's a judgment for receiving, and I grab that through the Spirit. Verse 17, it says, and that no man might buy or sell, say he that had the mark of the beast, or the name, had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Chi Stai Stigma. Okay? 666. The numerical barcode tied to this system that's going to be tied to, the action of buying and selling within this new system that they're setting up. All right, but again, in order to get rid of the old system, to bring in a new system, you got to get rid of the old. So they're phasing this out. So we're in an AI race with China to develop these BCIs, which is only going to drive everything forward. We're only going to drive closer to that, this right here, the hour of temptation. Revelation chapter 3 and verse 10, it says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, this is our Lord Yahweh Shah speaking, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world. How do we know it's going to come upon all the world? Well, you got China, one of the fastest growing superpowers in the world. They're already pretty much ahead of Neuralink. And then you got on this side, America, who's already at the helm of world domination, pushing this through as well. So it's going to come upon the whole world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Okay? It's a trial. But this is why you don't take it. We'll finish off here. This is Revelation chapter 14. And verse 8, it says, and there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city. And that's speaking about America. Because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand. So if you, just because they're talking about, it does this, it does that. If you receive that in your hand or in your head, those are the two main places they're placing them. But don't get silly. If you consent to receiving this shit at all, you're cooked. This is what's going to happen to you. Verse 10, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. All right. They're going to be tormented with fire and with brimstone. You're going to take part in that nuclear fire that nuclear bonfire that's going to hit America. You know, you won't live. So this is why we, as Israelites, are commanded not to touch it, not to take it. Trust that the Lord is going to redeem us even from death. Okay, because Revelation 20:4 goes into the sight of those that didn't receive the MOTB and they were beheaded. All right, but Esau's going to make you make a conscious choice to deceive you. They're not going to come and just force it on you. They're not going to be able to just pin you down and stick you with it. No. All right, that's not where the power lies. The power lies in you consensually taking it, accepting this man as your God, denouncing Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah. That's what he wants. So I just wanted to bring this information out. Lord willing, is edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah Bahashem Rakah HaKodash, and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, Haru Well. Peace, love, and salutations to the hopeful elect. Till next time, Shalom.